This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
You probably remember from a while back a call from a young mom named Alicia. And I won't go back through the call. If you heard it, you know who I'm talking about. It was a wonderful 10-minute, 5-minute. I'm not sure how long the call lasted, say 10 minutes maybe. Just a brief reminder. The situation was that married with 2 small children, finishing up her degree at the university, and pregnant now with her 3rd baby. And she was on her way to get abortion pills at, I believe, a Planned Parenthood clinic. And so she called in because it was kind of confusing for her because she thought she was listening to a secular radio station, and next thing she knows, she hears Relevant Radio. So she calls in and we have a conversation. And that conversation is still reverberating in many ways, and probably will be for years, I'm sure. So a couple of emails related to that phone call. This one comes in from Juana, and she lives in California, Northern California. She says, I heard the call you received from Alicia and the doubt she had about having an abortion. I wanted to tell you briefly about my experience and not wanting to have my 4th child. And then in parentheses, she says, I did have him. At the time, I had a 5-month-old baby and was having a lot of problems with my husband. Previous to finding out that I was pregnant with my 4th baby, my husband told me he had had an affair and had a child with that woman. So I was going through a lot of emotional distress, and finding out that I was pregnant was so difficult. I can only imagine. I thought that it was better not to have the baby. I had so many doubts. During that time, my husband's mother also passed away, which caused him to go into a depression and start drinking a lot. When I was 4 months pregnant, he decided to leave to Mexico, knowing that he couldn't come back due to his legal status. So he left me with then a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a baby who was 9 months old, and I was 4 months pregnant. I didn't have an easy pregnancy, and I wasn't able to work much. Nonetheless, I had my baby via an emergency C-section, and I've been struggling with postpartum depression ever since. This poor woman, struggling with postpartum depression ever since. Unfortunately, my kids keep getting sick with all these viruses going around. I'm not able to work. I'm struggling so much. I wish I could give more to my children. But every day, she says, I thank God for having my baby. He's now 10 months old. I continue every day trying to be the best mom for my 4 kids. I know things will get better for us someday, hopefully soon. The thing is to trust God and never lose faith. My children won't get less love. On the contrary, they now have another person who shows them unconditional love. And she signs off saying, thank you for your show. I really enjoy it. Please pray for me and my kids. I tell you what, Juana, you now have in me a guaranteed prayer friend. I will pray for you and your children every day from now on. And I'll ask everybody. Cyrus, can you imagine the plight of this woman and what she has gone through? I mean, if you tried to write a script and say, okay, what could be all the terrible things that could befall a young mom with everything? She's hit about everything you can imagine, wouldn't you say?
It's hard for me to comprehend what some of our listeners are going through.
It really is. So, Juana, I realize that you didn't write me this email for advice. I understand that. So I won't venture to offer any advice because it sounds to me like whatever advice I might give you, you're already doing it. I mean, you're doing such a good job in the middle of so many difficulties. As I was reading through this the first time, I started praying for you. And then read it the second time, the third time, and here I'm reading it again now.
It's like a woman standing up in the midst of this storm that is just raging all around her, and she just stands strong. And
lightning, thunder, rain.
And those kids see that.
I can only imagine.
Those kids see it. So well done, well done, Mom.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, Dad, what is wrong with you, man? He won't hear this show, most likely. I mean, unless he's converted his heart and well, who knows? He'll probably never hear this show. But for all of you who heard what Juana says about her situation, and then think back to the call that I received from Alicia. And as you may remember, the big issue for her, and understandably so, I mean, I can understand it. I've never been through what these women have gone through. My heart goes out to them, but I think at least understand her sense of trepidation, going back to Alicia, where she was thinking, do I really want to have this child? Because one of the reasons that she said a couple of times in the call is because I want good things from my children who are already here, the two of them. And I'm fearful that if I have this other child, that it will, in essence, she didn't say the word rob, but in essence, it would deprive, that's probably a better word. It would deprive her two children of the good things that she'd like to give them. So this lady, Juana, she's just, what a hero. And I wanted you to know about that, because this is another example of where that call from Alicia moved Juana to want to share from her own experience. And I'm hopeful that what she shared is something that will give you encouragement if you're in a difficult situation, even if it's not like you're pregnant and you're not sure if you want this baby. By all means, I hope that that gives you encouragement if you find yourself in that situation. But man or woman, whatever your situation may be, whatever the challenges and difficulties, and oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening on top of everything else, maybe think about what she's going through and take some encouragement from that.
Like what you just heard? Share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.